Good afternoon. Welcome to Oneida Live. I'm Bobby Webster. I'm the PR director for the Oneida Nation. And today we've started a new chapter in bringing news and information to the Oneida Nation in a live format. Previously, we had Facebook Live, and we had started that in March of 2020. Since that time, we had 500 live segments, more than 500, that we brought to the Oneida Nation citizens and our friends to keep you informed and keep you updated on the current state of affairs, some of the news, some of the programs, some of the divisions and businesses of the Oneida Nation. So, due to some changes in Facebook and how they will not store our videos for very long, we've changed over to YouTube. So today, that's where you're catching us on YouTube, and our transition seems to be going smooth. It's been all new to us, and we do apologize. We were going to start last week, but we just weren't ready. A few problems with staffing. We're taking vacations. For some reason, we think we deserve a day off now and then, so we had a little time off, and we wanted to come back live, all prepared and ready. So we do hope to continue our weekly schedule of Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon. So we'll keep up with that. And our first guest on the new venue is John Danforth. He's the Director of Trust Enrollments. And John's going to tell us a little bit about what's happening, some of the changes, and update us on what's going on down there in Trust Enrollments. And he might have some information about the upcoming GWA. Now, if you don't know what GWA is, just listen. John's going to tell you all about it.
All right.
Well, we're ready.
Yep. So it's business as usual, same as the last couple of years. It's still a general welfare assistance payment. There is one change from this year in comparison to last year. So we do not have a food distribution of $500 per member. That resolution was never brought back. It was a separate funding pool. Those funds were all used up. So to my understanding, that food payment was not brought back for this year. So what we do have is the 18 and over payment. So you must be 18 and over by September 1st of 2025, and you will receive $1,500. The second payment is for 62 and over. You have to be 62 by December 31st of 2025, and you will receive an additional $2,000. So if you meet that criteria, in total you receive $3,500. The next payment is the 65 and over, and again, that deadline is December 31st of 2025 for turning 65. That's an additional $703.54. So those individuals who meet all three criteria over the age of 65 will receive $4,203.54. The applications for this year's GWA do open up on July 1st. That's going to be Tuesday, July 1st for the members only portal. We are going to mail out applications to everyone's home address starting around, I believe, June 27th is our goal of mailing that out. So we are going to send over addresses very soon over to the mail center, and whatever address we have on file is the address that we're going to send the application to. So it's very important to make sure your address is always up to date, because if you never told us, we don't know. So if we're going to send to whatever we have on file, it's important to either call us, to email us, or to get a hold of us in any way to make sure that your address is up to date. When it comes to the payment itself, the payment will be made by September 30th of 2025. So again, if you have a home address or a check address, we want to make sure that that is up to date.
Okay.
For your direct deposit, again, we want to make sure that is up to date. So if you close an account, open a new account, and you want it to go somewhere else, you have to absolutely let us know what bank account you want to use. So update that information as soon as possible, but that payment will be made by the end of September. So for those individuals that I've left out so far, those who are turning 18 on or after September 2nd, so if you do turn 18 after September 2nd of 2025, you will receive a deposit into your minor trust account. So you're still getting the payment, it's just going into your minor trust account.
All right, I have a few questions. You mentioned that if you don't have your information updated, so I didn't update my address, or maybe I gave you a bank account number that closed, what happens to my payment?
So if you have an old banking information in our system, we will try to make that payment to that banking or to that bank with the information that we have. It'll get rejected. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks for us to reissue that payment in the form of a check. and then we're going to mail it to the home address that we have on file for you. So there is a delay. It's going to take some time. There's usually a couple hundred people that kind of fall into that category every year. So we do it in one big batch where we send it over to central accounting, they process it, and we reissue that payment. It usually takes about 2 weeks for those banks to reject those payments, send those payments back, then we'll put it in the form of a check. So there's usually a little bit of a holdup. You're looking at the second or third week of October to receive your payment if your information is not up to date.
Is that including my mailing address? What if my mailing address, does the check go back to the Oneida Nation? Or if I left a forwarding address, will it be forwarded?
Depends on the post office. So whatever the post office does for forwarding, it is out of our hands entirely. Once the payment has left the tribe, usually our hands are completely washed of any transaction beyond that. It is important to note that if you do decide to receive a physical check, that check does have a 90-day expiration on it. If you do not cash it within that 90 days, you have foregone your payment. The key thing about general welfare assistance is that you are telling the United Nation that you have a financial need and you are making that claim. And if you don't cash these funds within 90 days,
Right.
it's kind of counterintuitive to your original claim of I have a need. So if you have a need, take your check, cash it. If you don't cash it within those 90 days, or if you lose it, we can replace it within that 90, and then you will have another 90 days printed on that check for you to extend the period for you to claim your funds.
So this is not per capita. It's not just paid out
Nope.
because you're enrolled. It's a general welfare assistance, which means you need that money. And when you fill out your application online or in paper, you have to check a box that indicates that, correct?
Correct. So when you're filling out your application, whether it is the online version or the paper version, you want to make sure that you're checking that box as well. So again, every year we have a couple hundred individuals who maybe miss a box. They're 65 and they forgot to check the 65 box, but they checked the 18 and the 62. If you turn 65 in November, you're still eligible for this payment. So some people just miss it. Read it carefully, look at the dates. They will be printed on there clearly, and make sure you're accurately claiming the amount that you're eligible for.
Now, in terms of claiming it for tax purposes, because this is general welfare assistance, it is not to be reported on our taxes. We won't get a tax form from the tribe for these payments.
Correct. So we will not send out a 1099 for this, but we always encourage everyone to talk to a tax professional. We can't provide any tax advice, but the tribe will not be issuing a 1099 for these payments. It does fall under the general welfare exclusion law, so it allows us to distribute this payment, but of course everyone should talk to a tax professional to reassure that they are claiming these funds or not claiming these funds appropriately. Now there are external entities outside of the IRS that want to know about this payment, and it's always hit or miss. We can't really provide any information on who wants to know about if you're receiving these funds or not. You really have to talk to Social Security, you have to talk to a landlord, anyone you're receiving assistance from. These programs tend to be, it's not always black and white if they want to know if you receive these funds or not. And the tribe is always hands off as much as possible on what external entities want to know about the funds that you are receiving from the tribe.
So if I'm on Social Security and living in a facility that is based on limited income, they still want to know. Somehow they found out about it, and I may have to report it to, like you're saying, the landlord, and the tribe can't do anything about that because that's just the process of a private owner or Social Security.
It's out of our hands, but what we can do and what we will do is we will have a letter produced that shows that this is a general welfare assistance payment referencing the IRS tax code and the tribe's laws that allow us to make this payment, and whatever entity they give that to, that's basically for them to decide if they want to recognize that as income or not. But really the tribe's hands are washed entirely of the decision-making process of any outside entity.
And the tribe has a procedure, a policy in place, if I understand it, tell me, John, that these payments are not garnished by child support, by housing, by any of the tribal programs, facilities that I owe money to. They cannot take this payment?
As it stands right now, yes, we do not allow any internal or external entity to intercept any of these payments. So the member himself is claiming they have a financial need, and we are making that payment only to them, and we do not allow any garnishments or attachments made to this payment at all.
Because in our office, we get emails from all over, from soup to nuts. And usually one of the main concerns is child support. And it's usually from the individual who is owed the child support who says, he doesn't do anything, she doesn't do anything to bring up the child. I buy the clothes, I do this and I do that, and yet he's getting or she's getting this money and not having to contribute. But that's not our choice, that's the law,
It's just the way the law is written, correct?
the Oneida law.
Yep, so that's the pros and cons. So it is generally seen as a tax-free event, but at the same time, it's also not interceptable to those things like child support or any type of garnishment that people typically would see when we did have a per capita payment.
Okay, one other incident was an individual who owed the IRS. The IRS somehow got that, intercepted their cash out of their account. Would that be something, again, I know we would probably defer to your tax person on that, but do we know how the IRS might impact payments?
How the IRS interacts with anyone's bank account, whether they decide to garnish your account itself, is between the individual and the IRS.
So that's the account, the bank account they're taking it
Right,
out of,
so-
not our, when you issue the check, you issue the check, and then it goes to your bank.
Yep.
And it's the IRS's pleasure, I guess, to deal with a bank account, which is different. If I received a check
Yep.
and I cashed that check and I got my money, nobody's going to pull it out of my hands,
Right.
except maybe my spouse or something like that.
Yeah, but if there is an incident where the IRS does take those funds, that is between you and Uncle Sam at that point.
Okay. Well, like I said, I think, we do get a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and I know people are going to, as soon as we're done here, they're going to go on the website and they're going to say, it's not up, it's not up.
Yep.
When do we anticipate it to be up?
We are planning on opening it at midnight on July 1st for the
Okay.
members-only portal. That portal is going to appear the same as last year. Your login is still going to be the same. The login process, accessing the members-only portal is still the same as last year. But that will be opened up on Tuesday, July 1st. Preferably at midnight is our anticipated date of
Okay.
opening that. So if you're really eager, look forward to 12:01 a.m. on July 1st to go ahead and do your application. And we will mail out the paper applications right around June 27th.
So please remember, John said July 1st, midnight. That's when they'll be online. So if you go to your members portal after we are done here today and you say it's not there, well, we told you it's not there. It won't be there till July 1st. So I know Lisa will probably get some calls at 920-869-4481, which is our call line, and she answers everybody's questions. She does the very best she can. She's a great person. She's a very well informed individual, and she works on that every day. She's pretty dedicated. Don't call her yet. July 1st. If you tell your children, your adult children who are 35, 45, 55 years old, don't forget to fill out your GWA. Don't forget to do this. Not until July 1st. And we will most likely remind you when there's something very important to all of our citizens. We try to, every segment, give out some little reminders. When it is more complete, there will be in the Gully Weesox. They always carry that information. You will get a mailer. Sometimes the mailer is a different color, because I know I get a lot of tribal mail, and sometimes I do toss it. So look at your mail. If you don't have online provisions, read your mail, don't throw it away. Make sure you look at it, because that GWA application may come in your mail before you do it online.
We don't have a color picked out yet. We're working with the print center to make sure that the application looks correct. So we don't have a color yet, but it will be a distinct color, and applications are due by September 5th at 4:30 Central Time.
Okay.
So we do see people submitting at 4:27 right on the members only portal, 4:28 right on the last second. So yes, be aware of that deadline, September 5th, 2025 by 4:30 p.m. Central Time. So if you're in the West or if you're in the East Coast, you're ahead on time. But if you're out west, you're about 2 hours behind, so make sure you're in by 2:30 at that point local time.
And you have almost 90 days to do this.
Right. And the other thing too is if you miss that deadline, the next deadline is March 2nd of 2026 for the late period. And all 3 of these payments are still eligible for the late period, and that'll be paid out by the end of March
Okay.
of 2026.
So even if I am a minute late, it's submitted, but it won't be paid until March.
Yep, you'll be a part of the late period applications at that
Okay.
point.
All right. So all you really have to do is read the simple directions and follow them. It's pretty simple. Make sure you check your boxes. Read the entire application, check all the boxes, have somebody look and say, hey, did I do this right? It's so easy to make mistakes when you think you know what you're doing. And we never know. Something might change. You never know what's going to change on our processes. So anything we forgot, John?
I don't believe so. I think we have all of our bases covered.
Well, in this new segment, this new format, I don't see any questions or comments. I'm going to ask our new executive producer, Xavier, do you see anything?
No, there's no comments about this. Just people saying good morning, Saguli, and watching.
Okay, sounds good. So I just have a couple of announcements that we've got some beautiful hot weather here right now. It's like 80 degrees, very humid, sunny out. Great day to golf, to garden, to do things outside. But tomorrow, the weatherman is telling us, and the weather women are telling us that we will have some pretty hardy storms, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, perhaps some flooding. So that's in the forecast for tomorrow. So as a result, Just Move It Oneida is being canceled tomorrow due to the weather. Just Move It Oneida is canceled for tomorrow. Oneida Farmers Market is scheduled to begin Thursday, this week Thursday, downtown Oneida. We're hoping for good weather to kick off the season. We haven't been advised yet of any changes in that. So Thursday is the farmers market. Tonight, 6 o'clock at the Oneida Hotel is the Miss Oneida pageant. Excuse me. Allergies. This room is full of cotton. Sorry about that. Miss Oneida tonight, 6 o'clock at the Oneida Hotel. And I think that's all we have. So we'll see you Thursday. Tungiwa.